Hey everybody, Tony D with what is this? I guess this is a screenwriter's rant about movie theaters and what's going to happen to them. It's an article from Deadline. Most California movie theaters will not open Friday despite being given the green light. And that's because there's so many freaking rules and it's just not going to be worth it for them to open, and they have to figure out how they're going to make this work. Look, movie theaters are not sterile hospital rooms. They can't be. Look, hospital rooms aren't very sterile when you get right down to it, but there's only so much you could do in a cinema. Yeah, you could wipe the place down, spray it with a fine disinfecting mist, maybe. But movie theaters in America are still places where you could throw your trash on the floor, put your feet up on the seat in front of you, and act like an a-hole while you watch a movie and pretend to be home when you're not. The whole point of going to the movies was to go see things that you couldn't see on TV. That was the point of it, and to see it on the big screen. Over the years, that's become less and less a thing. People now have humongous flat screen TVs. They can see stuff at home relatively cheap. And not only that, if you're watching it at home, you can pause the movie, get up, go to the bathroom, come back, and unpause it. Everybody gets a snack. Everybody takes a little break. It's great. So that's part of the problem with the movie theater experience. It's no longer an experience that's worth going to. You even before all this virus stuff, you'd go to the movies, and what do you get? You get endless commercials. Okay? It used to be at my high-end movie theater locally, you would get to see paintings. They would have like slides of paintings and light jazz music. It was nice. You would see, local photographers and their pictures and stuff like that. Now it's just like, so-and-so theaters presents, here's a bunch of stuff about TV shows you could be watching instead of sitting here. It's like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to be bombarded with commercials while I'm trying to unwind and sit in the dark and watch a movie. That's the whole point. The movie theater experience has become more like watching TV. And watching a movie at home has become more like a movie theater experience. It's great. You can shut off the lights. You can get yourself whatever snack you want. It doesn't cost you a lot of money. You can pause the movie and go to the bathroom. You can watch the movie again because you usually get it for like 24 or 48 hours if you want to see it again, or you want to wind the scene back that you missed or you didn't understand. It's great. The movie theater, it's a nightmare. First off, you go and you got to park and walk all the way in. Sometimes you don't get a good parking space. Then you got to pay all that money. Then the snacks, and you pay way too much money. Then you get in, you're watching these horrible commercials forever and ever, and you're just like, show me the damn previews. Then you get to the previews, and preview after preview after preview. And then you're like, what movie did we come to see? I don't remember. And then the movie starts. You go, oh yeah. Then you're watching the movie. Who's on their phone? Who's munching away? Who's getting up and walking in front of you? Now you have to pee right in the middle of a scene. I mean, look, there's only so much theaters could do. And now with this virus, now you're going to do virus stuff on top of all that. My prediction is a year from now, none of this virus stuff will be in vogue. It'll be over. Right after the election, it'll suddenly disappear. You'll suddenly get an announcement that, oh, as it turns out, the virus isn't as bad as the flu, isn't as bad as we thought. You can pretty much go back to what you were doing, but, around flu season, you might want to wear a mask. That's where we're headed. We may hit that probably by the end of the summer, maybe after this November. But until we hit that, we got to deal with stuff like this. And these movie theaters thrive on filling the seats. When the big movies come out, they put them on 2 theaters and they pack them in the high times. If you're going to put people at 25-50% capacity, that ain't going to work. It's just not going to work. They already had these theaters near me with the big giant easy chairs where they cut the capacity to half already. and you're kind of sitting pretty far away in those easy chairs, really. I mean, you could sit next to somebody, and I mean, they would have to lean over to like cough in your face, you know? If they just disinfect the place with like a fine mist or something, just the kids come in and just spray all the seats, wipe them down a little bit, I think it would be fine, you know? And really, if you're an old person and you're vulnerable to the beer virus, there's no way you should be going to a theater. I'm sorry. There's just no way. I wouldn't. If I was in my 80s, I wouldn't be going to a movie theater. Not in this environment, not with the virus where I could die. I mean, is it worth it going to a movie? They don't even want to see movies of today. When you're that old, stay at home. Seriously, stay at home. I mean, I get it. You want to get out and feel alive, but sitting in a darkened movie theater, that's not a place for old people with regard to this beer virus right now. Maybe in a year or two after they have a viable vaccine, maybe, you know. But people 50 and under, there's no problem, really. They could go to the theaters, could pack the whole place with kids. They're going to be fine, 99% of them. If you have an underlying medical condition, again, you probably shouldn't go. But if you take minimal precautions, you don't cough in everybody's face, and maybe they spray some disinfectant around. I mean, I think it could work, but these places can't stay open at 25 to 50% capacity. They were already hurting. They were already gasping for breath, and now you're going to put more restrictions on them, more cost. I mean, they'll have to quadruple the price of the ticket. So this ain't going to work, in my view. What I see happening is I see the movie theater changing. It's definitely going to shrink. They're going to have to rethink the whole thing. Maybe they could make a dinner and a movie thing work, where you would pay for dinner and see a movie and pay a little more on top of that, right? So, you know, you go out to dinner, let's say it's 25, 30 bucks a head if it's decent food. And on top of that, you throw in another $5 for the movie, depending, maybe 10. So 30, 40 bucks a person. Hey, making some okay money there, I guess. You know, and if you can get people loaded, sky's the limit. So I think that's what has to happen in order for these movie theaters to survive. You know, for kids, you could do other things. You could do a big pizza party kind of atmosphere, but I don't know if taking kids to the movie is, you know, if it's going to be dinner in a movie, that's not going to work for kids. I think kids could be in a regular movie theater. You know, maybe put them in a ball pit, have the adults sit in the back while the kids sit in a ball pit. That could be funny. Although not very clean. You'd have to disinfect the ball pit every once in a while. I don't know. Maybe you'd have a machine underneath the floor that again would shoot very light disinfectant mist up into the balls, and then, you know, blow air around and the disinfectant, and, you know, after a couple of churns, it's all like clean, or at least all the viruses are dead. And then, you know, you drop your kids in there and forget about them for 2 hours. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but I think the days of the movie theater are probably over. I think you need more of an experience, and but I think drive-ins could be a saving grace. They could come back in a big way, and there is rumors that they're all coming back now. So maybe what these big theater chains could do is they could take their gigantic parking lots and refurbish them, put the screen up where the movie theater is, or where the, you know, the front of the building is, and or you know, depending on how the theater is laid out. Like at my local theater, there's actually a giant parking lot behind the movie theater, so it'd be perfect for them to build a giant screen just above the roof, right? And then you could have the projection equipment behind the screen projecting onto it, and then you could fill the parking lot with cars, and you know, fence it off, and you could still use the snack bar inside, and you know, you'd have to remodel a little bit, but I think that could work. And then you could still have, you know, you could still have the theater inside operational too, but you could you could make probably more money with the drive-in, and then like the indoor theater is only for certain customers, maybe for people who are having parties, like private parties. You have like a movie party, um, maybe for you know, just kids, you know, for kid kind of movies. Maybe you play like SpongeBob and a couple of things while the adults go next door and see the more grown up movie, something like that. That could work. But they're definitely going to have to think outside the box, I think. You know, the days of just, oh, there's a big blockbuster out. I mean, you, even now, like, you know, I really wanted to see all the Marvel movies, and I saw as probably as many as I want to see. You know, I can't see myself going to see a regular movie now in a movie theater. I mean, the only reason I would go now, I think, is if I was on a date and my date really wanted to go to the theater, right? You know, and I need a date thing to do. And going to the movies is a date thing. But, you know, after we're comfortable enough, like going to each other's place and watching a movie, I would cut that out almost instantly, because it's so much better being at home. It's just so much better. You know, even with two people, you rent a movie for $20. You know, it pretty much saves money in New Jersey. You're saving money, and the experience to me is so much better. So, yeah, it doesn't look good for movie theaters, guys. I mean, I think from a standpoint as creators, you know, there'll always be this sort of romantic notion of movie theaters and going to the movies and the magic of movies and all that. But I think in practical purposes, for the newer audiences, they're going to want to be home. Maybe in the drive-in movie theaters. I think they could come back in a big way and be a thing for a while. You know, they'd be more economical and fun. But we'll see. We'll see what has to offer. I think the regular movie theater, though, back in the 80s, the old 80s movie theaters, standing in line and being packed in, those days are gone. Memories of the days we left behind.